morning. This is Beverly Pryor with Unity Church of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. Let's just take a moment and get centered in prayer. So if you will, just close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And slowly release that breath. Another deep breath in. And with that breath, we open our hearts in gratitude. We connect together on that level of gratitude and appreciation for this wonderful Mother's Day. As we release our breath, we're releasing into the world love. Love that our way shower Jesus, the Christ, taught us in so many ways. So today we're just present with this moment. We're just grateful. We're just connecting in together in this shared moment. For this opportunity to be together on this very special day. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. All right, it's an exciting day. Those of you who've been tuning in on Sunday mornings know that we meet together on Zoom, and then later I post it on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and our website. But today, somehow magically, the mother energy is working and we are live on Facebook as well. And I even bravely started a watch party on my personal Facebook page. So I'm just going way out on a limb today with all kinds of new experiences. And so together, let's just get centered in our opening statement. We say this every week when we're together. And if you'd like to say it at home right now, you can say it along with us. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. Just letting that sink in for a moment. There's only one presence and only one power in my life. And in the universe, it's God the good, the omnipotent, which expresses through each and every one of us, which makes us so grateful and gives us such joy. So switching over to a few announcements, we're still meeting virtually on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays went to monthly, and we didn't really have a good attendance this last Tuesday, so we will skip the Tuesdays going forward. We have an offering that Patsy Sherman has started on Tuesdays now at 4 o'clock, where she's sharing the Lost Christianities. It's one of the great courses, and we're watching together and then having a discussion as a follow-up. So I've been to both of those, and they're really enjoyable. And I appreciate Patsy for putting that together and for hosting. If you have a chance to join, it's casual, come as you are, and enjoy some good experience sharing and expanding our minds. And as I mentioned earlier, our recordings can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and on our website. Each week we upload them right after, by Sunday afternoon, we'll have the recordings, and Mondays, usually by the next day at the very least. So today, those of you who are on our email list, you received an email early this morning with an extensive bio of our musical guest for today. But I just have to tell you how excited I am that David Roth is with us. He's often doing full-on concerts, and we've got him here for special music. He has the longest resume. I'll invite you to read that because I don't want to leave anything out. But just to drop a few little names, he's played at Carnegie Hall, and he's been quoted in Chicken Soup for the Soul. And so I know you're going to really enjoy him, and maybe at some point we'll even have him back as a guest speaker. David, I didn't even mention that to you before this moment, so hopefully you're smiling, but we'll talk about that at some time in the future. At this moment, let's just focus on the prayer requests. You know, each week we have prayer requests submitted on our website. You can call into the office. We pray over them here, and then we send them on to Unity, to Silent Unity. Silent Unity has been praying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for over 130 years. If you've ever been to the campus at Unity Village, it's just palpable, the prayer and the focus, the energy and the love that's present because of that ongoing, constant state of prayer. Unity was founded on prayer, and it actually began because of one of the healing of one of the founders, and that focus on understanding that power of prayer and how it can really affect your life. And they wanted to share it with people, so they just began meeting as prayer circles. So if you haven't had a chance to submit a prayer before today, you see on the screen there a picture of our sweet little prayer box. Just from your heart, just send your prayer in right now. Just whatever it may be that's on your mind for yourself or another, just send that prayer to the prayer box. And you can hear the birds outside my window probably sending their own prayers in. So let's close our eyes together and bring our focus to those many prayers out in the world, and specifically the ones that are coming to us in this moment. Let's take a deep breath in and just release that breath. And as we release the breath, we just let go of the hurries and the worries and the busyness of the morning, and we become present to this now moment. There's no degree in prayer. There's no prayer too small or too great for that absolute good in the universe that we know as God. All prayers are answered in the consciousness from which you have submitted them. And they all receive the resounding answer of yes, 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 with love and with grace. Your prayers are answered. And we claim, as Jesus taught us, we claim in this moment, it is done. And for this truth, and knowing of this truth and living it in our daily lives, we simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision of Unity Church of the Hill Country is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. And that's in all beings, all people, all situations, all circumstances, all moments in time. We celebrate the divine potential. We know as human beings we have free will, and we can look at a situation any way we want to. But if we're living consciously, we're celebrating the divine potential, whether we can see it in this moment or not, just as we did in our prayer time just now, we claim the truth. And we know that it is divine. Our daily word reader today is going to be Mandy Scott. And let me stop sharing for just a moment so that we can see her. Mandy?
Good morning. Today's daily word is Mother's Blessing. I honor all mothers and am grateful for their love. I bless my mother, and if my mother is still with me or has passed on, her love still lives in my heart and her wisdom continues to inspire me. I am grateful for the many ways My mother has blessed me. I also feel deep appreciation and tender affection for all those who have blessed me with the selfless gift of motherly love. I would not be who I am without them. Through the living example of the mothers in my life, I pass along the blessings of a mother's care and devotion as I embrace opportunities to share an affirming thought, an encouraging word, a smile, or a simple act of kindness. I honor my mother and all mothers as I share the love of God that never fails. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Proverbs 31:26.
Thank you, Mandy. Great job. I appreciate that. Now you get the blessing of our special
Thank you,
music.
Beverly.
Sure, Mandy. David Ross is going to sing for us before our meditation time and sing for us after the meditation as well. So, David?
It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Oh, I surrender to my greatest, highest good and release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let loving be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free, as I continue moving in this mystery, where I surrender to my greatest, highest good, and release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. I am stronger every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks that I find, but I can choose to take a higher path each time. For now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. So I surrender to my greatest, highest good and release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. Oh, I am stronger every moment, every day. I am stronger every moment, every day.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, David. If you'd like to hear more of David's music or learn more about him and get that full bio, if you didn't get the email this morning, you can find information about David at his website at davidrothmusic.com. So now that we've had that nice settling down and centering through David's song, let's close our eyes together and, if you will, just wherever you are sitting, let your spine be straight. Just sit erect. Let your chair fully support your body. And together, let's close our eyes. Just take a deep breath in and slowly release. Just feeling yourself settling in to this now moment. You might want to uncross your legs or your arms, set aside anything you may have in your hands. Just giving over completely to this moment. As that chair supports us, while we're very aware of the support it's providing, we bring our focus to our breath. You're not doing anything with your breath, you're just bringing your attention to it. The inhale energizes the body, and the exhale relaxes it. This focus helps us move into this meditative state, because meditation is restful awareness, restful alertness. We're very alert to everything that's going on, but our body becomes so relaxed as if we're sleeping. Just bring our attention to our breath. We notice as it's moving through the body, it may be moving to the belly or in the chest. Just notice the rising and the falling of the breath. As we settle in and become centered, we may have thoughts that come in. We just notice and let them float on by. You may have physical pain that starts to bring your attention to it. That's fine. Just be with it. Just notice and let it be. You may even have an emotion or two that comes to the surface. Just accept it. Focusing on the breath connects us mind, body, and spirit. And connects us one with another. In this moment, that oneness of that living, loving Christ nature alive in every one of us is present and palpable. You may even notice in your heart center that you feeling this fullness welling up, this love sensation. And as it fills you, with each breath growing, with each exhale, just let it out into the world. Breathing in, it's growing, and breathing out, letting it out into the world to go anywhere it needs to go in this moment, in this sacred time, as we move into a period of silence. in the stillness. We know with every fiber of our being who we are. And we are so very grateful for that truth. And we simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath and come back to this moment. Maybe you want to move your fingers and toes and just bring your focus back. Wherever it is that you are joining us from today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, this is Beverly Pryor. If you joined us after the very first introduction, and we're coming to you live and recorded from Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers. Whether you're a physical mother or you are a metaphysical mother, a metaphorical mother, if you are just living the mother energy, that feminine energy, it's not a masculine or feminine or a male-female thing. It's that nurturing ideal that we have in our world. That's the ideal. That's what we think of when we think of a mother image. Someone who has given us life, someone who has maybe given us life, maybe supported our life, maybe helped us to live and to learn and to grow. And that's Mother Earth to begin with. Mother Earth is our first mother. And, you know, in this time of sequester and stillness, we've seen so many reports about how the earth has quickly rejuvenated and healed herself. And it's so beautiful to experience. And the earth itself is a reflection of each and every one of us. And I want us to keep that in mind today as we talk through. I didn't give you a talk title. I realized that when I put the name up. But Perfectly Messy is really the name of my talk today, because mothers are perfect and they can be messy. There are many archetypes of the mother in mythology. One of the archetypes is the myth of Demeter and Kor, and in paganism, it's the fertility in the maypole. I don't know if you know this, if the maypole is actually a dance for the spring, for fertility. And then, of course, in many religions, it's a virgin mother or a Madonna figure. I want to share with you this story from 1 Kings. It's about two mothers. And so I just put up the words here straight out of the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. From 16 to 22, it says, later two women who were prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One woman said, please, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I gave birth while she was in the house. Then on the third day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth. We were together. There was no one else with us in the house, and only the two of us were in the house. Then this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him. She got up in the middle of the night and took my son from beside me while your servant slept. She laid him at her breast and laid her dead son by my breast. When I arose in the morning to nurse my son, I saw that he was dead. And when I looked at him closely in the morning, clearly it was not the son I had born. But the other woman said, no, the living son is mine and the dead son is yours. The first said, no, the dead son is yours and the living son is mine. So they argued before the king. This was King Solomon. Now we've heard this story so many times about King Solomon's decision, and you know the punchline, you know what's coming. But I really wanted to focus on the story that we usually skip over, that these two women, first of all, they're prostitutes, and they're mothers, and they're making some messy decisions. Because the circumstances of your life, the conditions in which you come into the world, that doesn't dictate who you are as a mother or as a child. So as we go on, this is the part of the story that we're more familiar with, Kings 3, 1 Kings 3, 23 through 28. Then the king said, this one says, this is my son that is alive, and your son is dead, while the other one says, not so, your son is dead, and my son is the living one. So the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought him a sword before the king. The king said, divide the living boy in two. Then give half to one and half to the other. But the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because compassion for her son burned within her, please, my lord, give her the living boy. Certainly do not kill him. And the other said, it shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide it. And then the king responded, give the first woman the living boy and do not kill him. She is his mother. And then finally in verse 28, all Israel heard the judgment of the king, the judgment that the king had rendered, and they stood in awe of the king because they perceived that the wisdom of God was in him to execute justice. Now that's the part that we always hear about, right? It's King Solomon's wise decision to threaten to cut the child in half. And then the real mother would come forth and claim, that she wanted the child to stay alive. She would rather give it away than have it killed. That's the archetype of mother that we envision and we've been taught to believe is the archetype of mother, right? That the mother's going to say, no, I'll sacrifice my son in order for him to live. I'll give him away. I'll do whatever it takes. But you see, the other one was also a mother. And she was willing to let the child die. Because not all mothers are made the same. Yes, her child had died, and maybe she was in grief, however you want to make that story make sense. But the fact is, mothers come in all shapes and sizes. And whether you are a mother or right now you're thinking about your mother, mothers can be messy. Mothers can be imperfect. Mothers can be flawed. And on Mother's Day, we tend to say, oh, my mother, and I started reading a lot of different poems in preparation for this talk, and so many of them were, my mother had the perfect words. My mother was always there for me. My mother did this, my mother did that, and everything was glorious and all the perfect archetypes. But that's not always the case. That's not always the mother you get. Sometimes you get a mother who's just over being a mother who maybe didn't want to be a mother in the first place, a mother who, for whatever reason, just can't be present with the needs of the child. And if this is giving you a little bit of a twinge this morning, I feel for you, because I'm the youngest of 7 children. And when I came along, my mother was pretty much over it. And I'm not talking badly about her. She would tell you that herself, and she never wanted any children. So nurturing just wasn't her thing. And I love my mother. She passed away a little over 1.5 years ago. And I still love her, and I communicate with her and share with her and think about her. But that was the case with her. And luckily for me, and I think this is true if you look around, if you relate with this description, if you look around in your life, somewhere that nurturing came into your life, hopefully. If not, maybe you learned to give it to yourself. But for me, it was in my oldest sister, who was 13 years older than I. And luckily, she was able to come and to provide me, because she was 13 and as a teen, as I was moving through those early years, she provided me with that nurturing. And then as she grew and had a family of her own, she developed a condition called bipolar disorder, and it made her a little bit less available to her own children. And I've been able to be for my niece what my sister was for me, that nurturing influence. Many of you have heard me speak of my niece quite a bit, but that it's been a blessing for me to continue to give that. But moms come in all shapes and sizes and all capabilities, but it's still love. However they are able to bring to you what it is they have to give, sometimes they're overwhelmed, and sometimes they don't make the best choices, and sometimes they're just doing all they can do to hang on themselves. And they seem messy, like the ladies in the story from the Bible. But the fact is, they're giving us exactly what we need. I know some of you understand the idea of soul contracts. Sometimes we come into this world and we've decided before we come in that we want to learn a specific lesson. And that mother might be the one that agreed to give us all the material we need in order to learn that lesson. And rather than focus on what that mother was not able to give us, we can focus on the lessons that we learn. Because for me, I learned to become very independent and take care of myself and make decisions. And I didn't have to rely on someone else. But I also learned to get that nurturing from my sister and from wherever else I can receive nurturing. And I think that will serve me all of my life. And that may be true for you. And maybe you're a mom who you feel like you didn't quite measure up. This is the moment, this is the time to really forgive yourself. You were doing the best you could do with what you had in the moment, and what you had materially, what you had emotionally, what you had spiritually, whatever it was that you had, you gave what you could. And if you would have had more, if you would have known better, you would have done better. That's an easy, easy way to look at it. But it's really best right now in this moment, forgive yourself, forgive your mother. Forgiveness is never for the other person. It's always for ourselves. You know, they say that, you know, that criticism, that holding, that judgment against someone else is like drinking a cup of poison and expecting the other person to die. You're only punishing yourself. I just read a story on Facebook this morning where a guy from my high school said that he had forgiven someone after 45 years and how he felt so free. And I was so grateful that he shared that. I was like, yeah, it's never too late to be who we might have been. That's a quote from George Eliot. And it's never too late to let go and to free ourselves from judgment, from criticism, from that idea of that perfect mother archetype. That the archetype of the mother is not just the one perfect thing, as I mentioned. There are archetypes in mythology, and there's archetype in religion, and there's archetype in our race consciousness. There are different ways that we can see mothers expressing. And they're all real, they're all good, because they're all divine. They're all that expression of God, that absolute good that we describe in our opening statement. So as I was looking through those poems I mentioned earlier, I liked this poem because it's kind of bittersweet. It's called Rock Me to Sleep. And if you're one of those people who didn't quite get what you wanted from your mom, you might relate with this. Elizabeth Akers Allen wrote, "Backward, turn backward, oh time in your flight. Make me a child again just for tonight. Mother, come back from the echoless shore. Take me again to your heart as of yore. Kiss from my forehead the furrows of care. Soothe the few silver threads out of my hair. Over my slumbers, your loving watch keep. Rock me to sleep, Mother. Rock me to sleep. So sometimes we do carry forth with us into our adult lives still that yearning for that idea of the perfect mother, rather than shifting our focus to, yeah, maybe my mom was a little bit messy and I can embrace her just as she was. We're still looking for that soothing to come from someone else. We'll continue to search. That's when we meditate. That's when we pray, because we know that that soothing that we've looked as a child to a parent to give us, we can give to ourselves as we get centered in that all-knowing truth of the expression of God that we are, that Christ nature that lives in each one of us. That is the highest level of soothing and comfort available. This is one of my favorite poems of all time, no matter what. It's called On Children, and if you're familiar with Kahlil Gibran's book, The Prophet, he says, and a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, speak to us of children. And he said, your children are not your children. They are sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for your life goes not backwards nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children are living arrows sent forth. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and she bends you with her might, and that her arrow may go swift and far. She bends you so that your arrow may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as she loves the arrow that flies, so she also loves the bow that is stable. So your weekly practice this week is to be mother. Whatever mother means to you, just become still and ask yourself, what is that idea, that archetype of mother that I've adopted for myself? And from that experience and from that concept, from whatever it is you're holding on to in that idea, what do you need? What do you need for soothing? And then ask yourself, what can you give? Because in giving, we always receive. So give it freely. Whatever it is that you feel you need, give it freely this week. Be that mother energy and give freely of yourself to others and also to yourself, the things that you need. You can do this by getting centered, by becoming present to that Christ nature. Thank you. And we will have more music by the absolutely fantastic David Roth.
I always have a hard time picking out a card for Mother. When I'm browsing in the Hallmark store, I haven't got a clue. She doesn't like my taste in clothes or who I choose for lovers. Don't imagine many mothers do. But a difference of opinion never stopped this world from turning. And even though we've had our share, I wish that time could ease the strain. So I'm choosing to remember how for her, a single mother, life was often filled with struggle and with pain. My mother was a singer. She was beautiful and full of life. She tucked me in with Que Sera Sera when I was just a kid. If I become a dad one day, I'll put my own to bed that way. I'll sing to them the way my mother did. Well, I finally left the house when I was old enough for college. She helped me buy my Buick, and we drove it down to school. But the thermostat was shot, we overheated and had to stop. And we just sat there in the silence till the engine cooled. And I remember how I couldn't wait to get off of that interstate. We turned the Buick over and got going on our way. She must have felt so all alone to see her youngest leaving home, the little boy she thought would be the president one day. My mother was a singer. She was radiant and full of hope. She tucked me in with Que Sera Sera when I was just a kid. If I become a dad one day, I will put my own to bed that way. I'll sing to them the way my mother did. So now we have our weekly call, where mostly talk is mostly small. Sometimes she thinks her kids still blame her for things that didn't go so good. But I'll rewrite her greeting card. I know your life was very hard. I also know you did the very best you could. I've tried to say those words to her, but her hurt goes deep and back so far. A little girl in Jersey and a childhood gone wrong. She gave up singing years ago, but now and then a glimmer shows, and her little man has taken up her song. My mother was a singer. She was delicate and full of dreams. She tucked me in with Que Sera Sera when I was just a kid. If I become a dad one day, I will put my own to bed that way. I'll sing to them the way my mother did. I'll sing to them the way my mother did.
Okay, this is what we do to applaud, because everyone's on mute. Thank you so much, David. That was amazing.
Welcome.
Very touching.
Welcome.
So now we move on to our opportunity to give. And basically in this moment, I just want to express gratitude and appreciation to all of you who continue to send in your tithes and offerings and to share online at unityhillcountry.org. It means so much. We will be coming back together. You know, we don't have a specific date because we just had new cases of COVID come out in Kerrville this week. But we are developing a plan. Patsy Sherman is working with me as we review all the documents from the state and from the CDC and Unity Worldwide to prepare a plan for the time where we can come back together. And as you know, Mandy Scott is holding down the fort Monday through Thursday, 10 to 2, and she will be there to take your phone calls, questions, prayer requests, and those occasional texts that you drop by. So we'll close out with our prayer protection, which is a poem by James Dillard Freeman. And you can say it together if you'd like at home. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. So we'll see you again next week virtually. Bring a friend if you'd like. We did have some friends join on Facebook Live. Thank you very much to everyone. Now we will open it up to our community greeting time. Mandy, if you will unmute everyone, and I'll go to gallery view here so we can see whoever wants to say hello. I see Danny. There's Jack and Jane. I see Alan. Where's Paul? Dave, Russell, and Mandy, Gayleen, and Mark.
Esta yo no sé por qué no me miro.
Ah, and Rocio is here. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Thank you.
I know you enjoyed David's music.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Now we can hear you the clapping. Since we're off mute. There's Hetty. Hi, Hetty. Oh, I forgot to stop the recording. All right, let me do that.